Hi, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. The weirdest thing happened last month, and I didn't tell you guys about it right away because I wasn't 100% for sure what it was. Still don't know exactly what it was, but I thought maybe like a logical explanation would come up, and nothing has. So I'm just throwing this out there because it is such a weird thing to have happen, and I have zero idea what it was still. March 15th, 2017, right around 4:50 a.m. there was a sound, and it was unlike any sound I have ever heard. It was a very, very incredibly loud tone. I was dead asleep, and I hear this tone in my sleep, open my eyes, realizing I'm hearing it in real life, sit straight up in bed hearing this sound, and it is so loud. It almost sounds like certain tones of like an alarm or a siren, but at the same time, it almost has like a screaming quality to it. Like it sounds like it has like a breathy like force into it. And I look towards the window. I have no glasses on. I can't see anything. I look towards the window and I'm just sitting up listening to this sound, not understanding what's happening. Legit, at the moment, I thought it was the end of the world. Like, in my head, I imagined like giant, insane creatures above my house, like alien ships or something. Like, it was just a sound I've never heard before, and it was so loud. And it happened to be on a day where Alex was off and he went to bed early, and so he was in bed with me. So I'm listening to this sound. I would say what I heard of it from the time I heard it in my dream till it stopped was probably 10 to 15 seconds. And I know for a fact it couldn't have been a siren because sirens you can hear as they drive away, you know, the distance of them. It never changed force. It just at the end quietly like went away, like it just done. So I hear this sound, it finishes, I look over to Alex and his eyes are wide open, and Alex sleeps through everything. He's a very deep sleeper most of the time. And I look to him and I'm almost crying because I'm so freaked out. And I'm just like, what was that? And he's like, I don't know, but I heard it too. Already experiencing it on my own was freaky enough, but having him say that he heard it too was just confirmation. And I mean, it had just within seconds ended. So I grab my glasses off my nightstand and I jump out of bed and I look out the window. The first thing I do is look out the window. Everything's calm. Nothing's out of sorts. No vehicles really driving around. It's the middle of the night. It's just quiet. Like nothing is weird. And so I get on Facebook because I'm like, that was so loud. Like someone has to know what this was. So I get on Facebook and I post like, hey, people who live in my town, did anybody else hear something at 4:50 a.m.? And I leave it at that because I didn't want to lead anybody on. I didn't want to get anybody to think that they heard something and like just go with it. I wanted to make sure it was actually people who'd heard something. The only thing anybody came back with was that some transformers had blown. But I have heard transformers blow before. I do not think that that was what it was. And when I looked outside, all of the power was still on in my area. So I believe that the transformers that blew were in a different part of town. I checked with other people around, nearby. No one heard this sound. And this sound was so loud that it woke both myself and Alex out of a deep sleep. And we still have no idea what it could have been. And we both like addressed how creepy and freaky and weird it was for a little while. But then we both kind of felt like, well, it's the middle of the night, we need to go back to sleep. But we both had this weird like feeling like, why are we trying to force ourselves to sleep right now? This was weird. Like, why aren't we more freaked out? Like, why aren't we trying to investigate this further? And like, both of us still had this feeling of like, well, we need to go to sleep. We should really probably go back to bed. Took me at least like 45 minutes, an hour to fall asleep after that. because I was just so startled. It was really truly such a startling experience. And Alex at first was like, maybe we had like a weird unexplained shared dream because he heard it as he was waking up. And I'm like, no, I think that'd be really cool if we did have a shared dream, and mine started in a dream. But I woke up and sat up in bed, still hearing it just as loud, just as audibly, and I heard it stop while I was sitting up in bed awake. So I don't feel like it was a shared dream or some type of like other sleep hallucination type experience. We definitely heard something. But the fact that it was something that nobody else seemed to hear when it was so loud to us is really, really weird. And I still don't have an answer for it. So I just kind of wanted to put it out there on here, document it, that way it's out there. And if anybody else has heard any weird stuff, you guys can tell me about it, so that way I know we're not just like the oddballs. But I mean, really none of our neighbors were talking about it. Nobody at work was talking about it. Like, a lot of people we know live very close by. We don't live in a very big town. And nobody had heard anything. I even asked coworkers if they'd heard anything, asked some of our friends, like, we are the only ones who experienced this, and it really creeps me out. So I just wanted to throw it out there, share that story with you guys, and see what your thoughts are. If you have any idea what that could have been, I definitely want to know. So thank you so much for listening and for hopefully enjoying this little story. If you did, leave me a thumbs up, the way I know it, and if you didn't, you can leave a thumbs down. That's cool too. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications, that way you get notified every time I upload. I'm Kat, and this is Paranormal Kativity. Have a strange day. Bye!